All right, welcome guys to Prepared episode 44. This week we're back. Sorry for the delays, a little some scheduling mix-ups and some sleep-ins. But we're back. We're back for episode 44 of Prepared, your fortnightly-ish TBC podcast. So this week we got a whole bunch of catch-up to do with the. Well, first I'm sure we're gonna rant about Diablo Immortal at some point in this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. We got to get our little rant in at some point, and then
Our little rant. Okay, we'll co-own it, even though I have nothing to say yet. All I've heard is just other things, So.
Yeah. And there's the whole RAF fresh servers. That's super interesting. Interestingly enough, that got announced literally the day we were scheduled to do the last podcast. As seems to be the way with whichever dev seems to watch our scheduling and release everything on the day of the podcast. Then we have the whole server consolidation stuff, and then me and Zirene have a special topic this week where we're gonna cover Blizzard's top 5 changes / decisions in Classic WoW. So there's a lot of ways you can interpret that. I left that kind of up to Zirene to see how he would interpret that question, but it's basically the top 5 things Blizzard did or didn't do in some cases, depending on how you look at things. For Classic WoW. So to be fair, we did the opposite side, which is the worst things Blizzard did in Classic WoW. So I thought we'd flip it around and do the top 5 best things they did this time around. So yeah, we're gonna cover that. But before we do, Zirene, you play a little Diablo Immortal?
I did not. I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it. One of my roommates touched it, and I was like, okay, like it looks like Diablo 2. They say it's a good game. They like it. But I have no idea like how it actually plays, right? So please, if you played Diablo,
I didn't, but I did look into it and watch to see how it played and such. It looks really fun, but like a lot of people who saw that stuff, they just I couldn't touch it. It just felt disgusting watching what Blizzard did with it. To the point that I was just like, man, it's such a pity because I love those types of games, like the Diablo type games where you can just almost turn your brain off and just hack and slash your way through a map, spam buttons and such. Because I think it was last week I was telling chat how when I graduated high school, as is the tradition in Australia, you take your friends, you book a beach house on one of the coastal cities in Australia, and you go have a beach party with a bunch of other graduates. And instead of going on the beach for one of the days that we went to the coast there to party, I stayed inside the room with the PlayStation 2 and played the new Lord of the Rings, the one of the Middle Earth hack and slash like dungeon crawler games, co-op with my friends, and I had a lot of fun. It was really fun. It's one of my favorite genres, is those games where you just turn your brain off, you play co-op and such with your friends, and you just hack and slash your way through. And Diablo Immortal seems more of the same. It seems like really, really fun, if not for the pay-to-win stuff. If not for the pay-to-win
so that's
stuff.
all I hear about right now is the pay-to-win stuff.
Yeah, it as a game by itself, it's actually really, really fun. I actually had a look at the charts. I was just curious to see how is Blizzard doing on Diablo Immortal. And sure enough, on all the app stores when I looked at it, Diablo Immortal was performing like close-ish in the top, in that top 10 range for most of the Apple charts and things for the various categories. So they are getting a crazy amount of downloads. And last I saw, the interesting thing with the whole Diablo Immortal, and I know, guys, this isn't related to WoW, but it's like tangentially related to WoW, kind of same company. It's performing really, really well. The reviews on it, not on the online store. The online store is getting bombarded by just like people who hate the whole pay to win situation. But if you look at the actual app store in your phone and you guys go look at the reviews there and the ratings there, Diablo Immortal is like 4.8 out of 5, and with tons of reviews, is doing really, really well.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is I was talking about this where like I don't like when companies go into mobile games, and a lot of people don't like it either. But mobile games, the fact of the matter is, they are very good money. People buy them. People buy things and micro purchases in them all the time, and they actually become what companies use as a benchmark of how well their games should do. Because like mobile games typically take a little less in terms of resources to develop, because it does require some creativity because you're working within constraints, right? But in terms of developer time, etc., from my understanding, it takes a little bit less in terms of resources. So it costs less to make, it costs less to keep up, but it ends up making you a lot more money. And that's the fear for a lot of PC gamers, is that the phone games are going to steal companies' attention away because it makes them more money, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I know. I think it's EA has experienced before. There's like an EA Star Wars phone game that makes them an enormous amount of money.
Oh yeah. What's the name of it? I've forgotten it, but yeah. I mean, every time this topic comes up, we always bring up like things like Candy Crush.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the designers of Candy Crush. Yeah.
Like Candy Crush makes
same company
same company
as Activision Blizzard.
Activision Blizzard. Yeah, they make so much money, in Candy Crush. It's actually crazy. But yeah, I actually pulled up one of the. I think it's interesting that the way Diablo Immortal relates to WoW is that I've never seen a game launch by the same studio that has lost people so much trust, like in their own game as well. A lot of people, like there's a lot of cross contamination, I guess you could say, where people are like, man, this game feels really scummy the way they've gone about the pay to win. And for people that don't know, if you've been living under a rock, obviously Diablo Immortal, a new level of pay to win, almost like they built the game around the pay to win instead of building a game and then adding in pay to win elements. It's almost like they thought about it from the start. It's like, okay, this is the pay to win stuff we want. How do we build a game around it? To the point where literally your reward for clearing a dungeon is the opportunity for a time sensitive chance to pay to win and things like that. Like literally it's like they checked every box for every single marketing thing they can do for time limited marketing, and basically all the little buzz things that marketers can do, they check those boxes. And they do it for good reason, because that stuff works. Time limited offers, all of that stuff just works really, really well. As scummy as it is, it makes them a ton of money.
Buy now, right? Like just telling people there's limited resources, limited time. People are more willing to if you give people less time, it pushes them, and they're more likely to actually buy something than not. Or you'll have more people actually like buy in. But my biggest issue with like the Diablo Immortal stuff is I've said this before, and people thought it was like my philosophy, right? It's not really my philosophy, but it was something that was presented to me, and it made me go, okay, I can kind of see that. Where I was talking with somebody who was I think it was like people were talking about pay to win elements of things, or like buying gold in WoW, and somebody presented to me, they were like, well, I'm rich in real life, so I should be rich in game. And there's nothing in like video games that tells you that even though you're successful in life, you shouldn't be successful in the video game, that it's like equal playing field. He's like, that's not a solid rule for video games. Like that is not written anywhere. It's just implied by people who like video games as the great equalizer of like, hey, I'm middle class, or I'm lower class, or I'm upper class, and we're all equal. We're all playing the same game. We're all starting from zero. And he's like, why shouldn't I, as a rich person in real life, be rich in the game as well? I've put a lot of time into things. I have a lot of resources. Why can't I spend them on the game to speed it up so I can keep doing stuff in real life and I'll spend less time on the game? And I was like, you're right. Technically, that is not written anywhere as a rule of video games. It's an implied rule that people say, right, or feel because they like video games as an escape. And so, it was not my philosophy, right? It's something that was presented to me, and I went, I can understand that. And for like Diablo Immortal, it's another one of those, if somebody is rich in real life, then it allows them to be rich in game. It allows them to buy things in the game faster, to have to play it less. They can continue doing the shit that makes them rich. They can get back to playing the video game. It's really weird, but it is a way in which to prey on whales, right? Yeah. Is to present them with an opportunity to flaunt their wealth in game, right? Yeah. So a lot of rich people, if you ever meet rich people, don't have the same, like, don't always have the same, like, not all rich people, obviously, don't have the same approach to video games. Video games are a way to have fun and to spend money, right? And to do something, and to use their wealth, right? they can buy a bunch of video games. They can go out to the club or something, right, and spend money there if they want to and flaunt their wealth. But video games is also becoming another medium for them to do that, and companies are okay with that, and they're showing they're okay with that. That a rich person has to play the game less because they've spent, they've gained money, which I guess is kind of your legal tender that is supposed to display effort and time used on something. Not always like that. But then you spend that, and then obviously you have to spend less time getting something in the game. So it's like a exchange of resources that should be equal in some way, shape, or form, but it really doesn't work that way in real life, especially with the way like stock market works, etc.
I mean, it's interesting on the WoW show as well, because I think a lot of people also forget that a lot of WoW has big whales, massive whales, especially with the whole GDKP scene. And even a lot of streamers in the WoW scene will know that the biggest oilers, very common for the biggest oilers and supporters of a lot of WoW streamers to be giant like oilers quite often from the Middle East a lot of the time as well. I don't know why that is, but it is literally true. Even I think about it, even my first oiler as a streamer was some guy from the Middle East as well, who just a lot of money and it just treated the game as like, this guy does stuff that I like and he's gonna support like them, and there's nothing wrong with them. They like a lot of them are super nice guys, really generous, who help support a lot of streamers. The most interesting story I have about oilers in WoW is that the same one that made me get the Tiger King haircut, because as most streamers do, they set a goal at some point, underestimate how much the oilers will donate or push the chat towards that goal, and then they hit that goal. And that's how I ended up having to shave my head like the Tiger King for a month. But talking to the other streamers, the same person that had me shave my head's brother is the one that's responsible for paying Chanimal like $5,000 to shave his head bald. So there's literally a family of oilers that goes around messing up streamers' hair through donations. Fun little fact there. Wait, Channel was in the chat. Dude, it was the weirdest thing as well, because there's literally, I think that we were literally even doing twos. And literally, Channel was like, do you know this guy called so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, why? And he's like, oh, well, my oiler says that's his brother. I was like, oh, okay. It's just like a whole family of people making people shave their heads and do weird haircuts. Interesting. But yeah, so the whole I guess to try to relate this back to WoW, the whole fact that there's cross contamination in that how Blizzard has handled Diablo Immortal has made people feel bad about WoW as well. And the most obvious one is this thing that I have on the screen. It's Wyatt Chang, when he originally 5 months ago posted in the Diablo Reddit. Saying like, no, basically saying, oh, Diablo Immortal, there's pay to win, but there's like a limit to it. It's not that bad, guys. He's basically downplaying everything. And then Diablo Immortal comes out and it's like, what? How can you post this post and say all these things when you know that this is the game that we were getting, that like the most disgusting combination of every pay to win tactic that they can put into a game? Yeah. And then you can't say these things, then go back and say, well, I didn't say that exactly. I just said, it's like I didn't say this element wasn't in the game, and it just feels super scummy if they can say and do these things and basically just straight up tell these white lies to the community. It makes you feel bad about, oh, well, then what else could they be lying about, or what else do they have planned that then going to mess up in the future and ruin WoW further, is the way that people think when they see these sorts of things happen.
Yeah, so, they're capable of one thing, then they're capable of another.
Yeah, it's like the whole trust thing. When you lose trust, it's really, really hard to get it back.
Yeah.
Especially when you do it multiple times, because it's literally been a proven thing that you can, in marketing, if you lose trust, it's actually, your audience is actually really, really willing to forgive you if you come back with a sincere apology and you try to make things better.
Yeah.
An audience is actually really, really willing to forgive you. look at every YouTuber scandal in history and them coming back and being perfectly fine, if you want like proof of that concept. But it's actually a very studied thing in that
some people it's very effective if you never apologize, admit, and you just keep making videos.
Doing the same thing. Yeah, you just like ignore.
You just keep going. 100%. Yeah. Like I think there's some of the CS:GO gambling scandals.
Oh god,
there's guys out there who were clearly involved with it, but they never mention it. They just do their content. And they're just like, look at how happy I am, and look at how great and influential I am, and how much of a good person I am. Yeah. They just keep going.
Yeah.
Right. If your game is good, right? If your game is good, or if your content is good, and kids still want to watch your stuff, and they're like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about that. Come back, keep streaming, man.
Yeah.
Like, then people will still be on your side. Because at the end of the day, people, if you're involved in any scandals and shit, they'll say, well, I wasn't watching him for that anyway. It's kind of like Dr. Disrespect. I talked to some people about when he had the whole thing where he had like cheated on his wife. People were like, well, I didn't watch Dr. Disrespect for his fucking love advice. So like, it doesn't really affect my opinion of watching him as a streamer. Like they're like, I'm still going to watch him when he comes back. And some people were like, oh, I can't stand it. And it's like, he's not supposed to be giving you like love advice or relationship advice or anything like that. It'd be like an example of that. So I understand why some people would just be like, oh, okay. But other people would be like, morally, they don't want to support somebody like that. And I get it. It is going to affect your bottom line in some way, shape, or form. But it's not always as impactful as people think it will be, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very interesting concept, the whole like the people are willing to usually forgive if you just move on and you keep going. But Blizzard's not done it so many times that a lot of people aren't willing to forgive at this point in time. They just lost so much trust that it's so hard to gain it back.
Yeah.
And it's
a resource. We've talked about this a lot, where trust very much so is a currency. That player trust, if you spend it, it's very hard to get back. And so I firmly believe that player trust is a very valuable resource for companies as well. They're more willing to forgive if you have a lot of it. And if you've already taxed it a bunch, then they're going, okay, well, they haven't really done many good things. This is a company that I'm ready to abandon, basically. So.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, it's still I know a lot of people are hoping like, oh man, Diablo Immortal it's gonna be the thing that breaks Blizzard and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think unfortunately, they're gonna make a lot of money from it, and they're just gonna probably make another app off it or whatever. They're just gonna reinvest that money back into more pay to win apps, because I'm sure this game's gonna make a lot of money in China and such, where they really like pay to win over there. So it's one of the unfortunate things, but you know, at least our game isn't pay to win, right? Kind of. No, sort of, really? Yeah.
But like.
At least we're not clearing dungeons and having like a time limited offer to buy better loot pop up.
Yeah, somebody was saying in chat, Harming One said you can't buy gear, you can only buy the items that power the gear. And quote from Wyatt. There was a person who came out and said, hey guys, like, you know, I think you guys got it all wrong. It's not pay to win. You pay for these things that do this other thing, and then that's basically a thing that people have a problem with, because you're not like buying the gear and they're like, oh, but you're not doing this. And somebody put it this way. They were like, that's like a gun store going like, you know what? We're a lemonade stand now, and you can buy lemonade for $100 and they throw in a free gun. So it's like, we're not selling guns. We're selling lemonade, and it comes with a free gun. Like it's like what the fuck? It's exactly how ridiculous it is, though. Saying something like that, where you're like, "Oh, we aren't doing this. We're doing this. We're selling this." And yeah, sure, that does kind of get you this eventually in some way, but we're not selling it directly. And that's like, but that's the problem people have, right?
Well, I think like a big thing as well.
I don't think some companies really understand what pay to win means. Like, I genuinely think that they don't really understand what pay to win means. They're like, oh, they don't want you to be able to buy the gear off just straight up. It's like, no, if you can spend money in any way, shape, or form to progress your character faster than other people, or reach a level that other people can't, which is even more egregious and is like a whole like Nexon thing. It's just like, yeah, we you gotta, if it powers up your character in almost any way and like increases your progress, like to some degree, in my opinion, League of Legends has a thing where people don't really care about some of the not pay to win elements, but like the out of game things, the out of game progression speed ups, where you can buy experience boosts, right? You can buy IP boosts, you can buy the characters directly, which at the beginning did favor those people who could afford all the champions. Eventually people will catch up, right? So now it's like not seen as much of a problem, but there is to some degree, in my opinion, a way to spend money when you get like a new account to get it up to speed, right? And get it competitive, which in some to like from my point of view is a pay to win thing, right? Yeah. It doesn't win you your games, it doesn't give you an edge in your games directly, but it does give you every champion and allow you to, you know, have more options going into the game than other people if the game were just coming out. So obviously time has kind of equalized that. Being out for like 12 years does kind of lower the impact of that, but it is something that in my opinion is still seen from my point of view as pay to win, because I have a really like firm philosophy on what is pay to win, and it is anything that helps you progress your character faster, right?
Yeah.
So people go there purely cosmetic. That's not essentially true, right? There are some differences.
Yeah. I feel like what made this feel a lot worse for a lot of people though was how it's presented as well, right? Like we went over how, you know, that there's the whole quote, and how we're not really doing this. We're doing this instead. It's really not as bad, even though it's pretty bad. Yeah. And it's almost that thing where they're just not being upfront in that. I would rather you just tell, I would rather you just come to my face and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're being scummy about it. We know we're doing this. Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. We're gonna make apps. We're gonna make money, whatever. But yeah, like don't lie to me and tell me that you're doing something else when it's so obviously clear that this is what you're doing.
And here's the thing too is even if you make an announcement like that, it's not going to reach everybody who has that negative perception. So as a company, if you don't like send that out and go, okay, problem solved, we're good now. Even if you fix it, you're not good. There's still people out there like me who, even if they fix something in Diablo Immortal, I would still be like, oh, it's pay to win. In order to actually affect player perception, instead of just like doing an announcement, doing something where you explain something, you need to not like, because I'm gonna say this, you can't make people realize anything. You can't make a post and be like, hey, we're not doing this, we're actually doing that. That's absolutely fucked up and wrong. Like, you can't do that. That will not work. That will actually make people dislike you more. What you need to do is you need to come out and say, hey, I realize this perception you guys have, and you're right. Because perception is reality, right? If they think you're doing this, then you are doing this. If I think in my Diablo Immortal is pay to win, even if the facts tell me it's not, my perception of it would be it is, then it is. So you have to just kind of validate people's perception and say, hey, you're right. This is what we're going to do about it. We got it wrong, and actually show some change, right? You can't say like tell people, oh, we've already done this. This is good. This is bad, right? You can't make people realize that they're wrong to some degree. And even if you did, not everybody's going to see that post. So it has to be like impactful change in the game, and you have to also validate people's perception. So if they see you as the bad guy, you have to kind of admit you have been the bad guy a little bit, like you were saying. Yeah. It works. It works, and it's the right way to do things, because as soon as you like tell people that they've got the wrong idea and they see it wrong, you just create arguments instead of people actually accepting what you're saying, right? So if you accept their point of view and then start talking, then they're going to be like way more receptive to it. But if you say, you guys got it all wrong, we're not selling this, we're selling this, immediately nobody's going to go, oh, you're kind of right, you're right, you know? They're going to be like, you don't understand what we're saying, right? You don't understand. Yeah. So it becomes everybody puts their shields up and they're defensive. So you really, when it comes to like PR, Blizzard has been really bad at just historically bad last few years as well at really human communication that will have change behind it. They have been incredibly bad at feeling like you're talking to another player when they do any kind of announcement or anything that says they're sorry or anything that says that they're going to improve. They do not feel like they're a player, right? When they're talking to you. And that's the one thing that like really I think a lot of companies lose. And ironically, you know, I talk about Riot a lot. I think Riot actually has that down pretty well because they hire players, right? They hire people who are players of video games, their game. They encourage people to play their game all the time, and they understand player pain. And I don't think Blizzard really understands the player pain of their games. And it seems to be like it goes across all their games. It doesn't just sit there in Diablo Immortal. It transcends Diablo Immortal into all of their titles. And it just seems to be a Blizzard problem. And I really hope they fix it, because I want to feel like I'm talking to human beings who are basically like my age plus or minus 5 years and are working on a video game that I like, and they understand the same problems, because then I can trust them more, right? Back to the player trust stuff. I can trust that you understand that this is happening in the game and this feels bad to experience. So yeah. I think they just get it wrong all the time.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, before we go on too long about Diablo Immortal, let's
obviously
shift gears here and let's talk about something that Blizzard's actually changing, which is something that was requested in the past as something that people would like to see when we're going into TBC. They're doing Wrath of the Lich King fresh servers. So for people that don't understand how this works, it basically means it's literally just completely fresh servers. Let me pull it up here. So you can't, if you want to roll on this, it's going to launch at the pre-patch timing. So that's when they're going to launch these fresh servers. For 90 days, you cannot boost a new character. For 90 days, like, you can't transfer to this place, and Death Knights cannot be created on these realms without a level 55 character on that same realm. So this will literally be a fresh start for people. People will be stuck onto this server with other people who have no gold saved up, no other characters. Everyone will be on the same level playing field, which is an interesting move, I think. Really, really interesting. In particular because I think I know a lot of people who didn't play TBC or barely looked at it who really like Wrath. I have a lot of friends who really like Wrath and who would jump on something like this because they do want to feel that they aren't behind. Like they don't want to feel like they're going into Wrath with this big handicap versus the guy who's been doing GDKPs. He's got 50 gold in his bank, like 10 different characters, and they don't want that. They want to go into that fresh server with other people who have nothing. And it also, I do also feel that this is good-ish a Blizzard move in a lot of ways, but I don't know how it's going to work out. We can talk about it later, but I do feel it's going to be good in that there's a lot of people who enjoy that early experience where everyone's on the same playing field and they're all leveling, doing dungeons together and progressing their characters and getting gear and such. And that's something that has a different feel when you're going in there with an already maxed out character from the previous phase versus you're starting on a brand new level 1 competitive with everyone on the server. Everyone's trying to get dungeon groups at the same time and going through that leveling process and such. It's a different feel, and in a lot of ways I understand those people because to me, at least, that's also one of the most fun times in an MMO, right? The launch of a brand new MMO. It's very hard to capture that kind of magic when you hop into a brand new MMO. Everyone's kind of fresh and new, and everyone's excited and grouping together. And I do think like a fresh Wrath of the Lich King server would enhance that feeling because everyone starts off on the same field. Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, the question I do have though is that how will they do long term? Because there's a question of, is this going to attract more tourist type players who will come, they'll play for that fresh experience, but they won't have that attachment to keep staying, or they're more interested in just, coming for that launch period and then they'll be done. They'll be like, okay, I got my Wrath of the Lich King fix, we're done. Because they didn't announce like how many servers they're going to be doing or whatever this will be, because I do think if they do this, they gotta really limit how many of these fresh servers they do, because in the end, everyone's going to want to play on the most popular version of whatever the fresh server is, and all the other servers are probably going to be in trouble after that launch period's over. Is what I would expect, because that's what happens with every WoW server right now. Is that, oh, this is the PvP realm, okay, everyone goes on this server now because no one trusts to be on the other servers. Because it takes Blizzard until the end of the expansion to do server consolidations and things like that. So What are your thoughts though, Zirene? I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on the fresh servers.
I think that I've been having this conversation. I'm making notes for myself, so I don't remember the points I want to bring up here. Okay, so I think it's good for the type of player who enjoys leveling, right? There are players who are not me, who are not you, who are people more like OG Jeffy and stuff like that, who like to actually level characters, and they love doing that. They'll level their character up, get to max level, and be like, okay, time to roll another one. This is for those players who enjoy that fresh leveling experience where they can get the world PvP, fight people who are level 32 and they're 31, and have that, which is kind of gone from the game for the most part, save for like 2 servers, like Grobulus and like I think it's Firemaw, where that's basically the only place where you can really get that experience still. And so I think this is good for those players who love leveling, who don't like having like boosts and stuff going on. This, I think, is a very low effort way to have high reward for those players, because those players otherwise would be like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm coming into the game late. I don't want to feel like you said, people have so much gold, everybody's getting boosted, there's nobody to play with. This is a way for players who have that desire to get that. And I think it's good from Blizzard to actually offer that. I think there's no negative here in my mind. This is only a positive. I don't really see this as a thing that's going to negatively impact the game at all, because I'm just going to stay on my server, not a big deal. And so I think those people get to have the thing that they want. They get to have their cake and eat it too. Now, you mentioned long term. I don't think the people who enjoy leveling are going to stay around anyway, right? So like once they've hit max level, or they've quit, or they got their Wrath of the Lich King experience, it doesn't matter if they were going to roll on a big server. I don't think the big server having more gold or more players was going to keep them around anyway. I think the players who enjoy leveling are going to enjoy leveling and then go like, oh yeah, no, I'm done. And then they're going to stop. And if there's a way for them to like transfer to a higher population server, then they might do that, right? I do think that if there is a problem with these servers' populations later down the line, they'll offer transfers off of the servers, especially when the economy seems to be more stable, because obviously things are going to be highly volatile at the beginning. People aren't going to have a lot of gold. Things are going to cost a lot. Like, first legendary that drops, or first, epic BOE that drops, people will be like, oh, okay, that's going to be a lot of gold. But nobody will be able to buy it. So the price will have to go down until there's somebody who can actually afford it, etc. And then over time, like you've seen how new servers end up getting stable economies over time. And then there's ones that have like high populations where things are slightly cheaper because there's so many people farming or so many bots. So I think their solution is just offer transfers off eventually. Or if the server has enough of its own stable population of people who wanted to play from a fresh perspective, then you just leave it as is. So I definitely think there's a contingency plan in just lined up. And I was talking about this yesterday with somebody about borrowed power, who they were having we're having a conversation about how they don't like how Blizzard recently in their expansions like BFA, etc., have had a lot of borrowed power, like Azerite power. You spend the entire expansion farming it, and then when the next one comes out, when BFA comes out, you're just like, oh, well, fuck all my Azerite power, I guess, that I ground. Yes, it doesn't matter now. And I was saying that borrowed power isn't necessarily like a bad system by nature, but it does present problems when you create expansions, because what ends up happening is when let's say Shadowlands comes out and they throw away Azerite power. Everybody who played BFA is kind of like, well, that's shit. My character is starting from 0 in this expansion. All my effort is worth nothing. And then when you have the new player come in, they go, oh, thank God it's like this, because I didn't play BFA and I don't want to feel behind. Players don't want to feel behind when they start a new game. You don't want to feel like you're already starting off at a negative. You don't want to feel like you're having to play catch up. You don't want to have to learn all these like systems that are archaic that other people have had an expansion learning about, and you're just completely new to them. You don't have that sense of we're all in this MMO together and we're all learning together, right? Those people already have a lot of knowledge about it, and you're playing from behind, and that doesn't feel like the new MMO experience. And what happens if you go, okay, Azerite power is still a system in Shadowlands, then all these people have so much that they've had, right? Like I'm saying, like the Azerite power rolls over, then those people are playing from a negative who are new players. So you have to find a happy medium of, you don't want players to feel punished for playing the previous expansion and putting all of this effort in, but you don't want new players to feel like they're completely fucked over because they didn't play the previous expansion. All right, you have to find some middle ground, whether it's a catch-up mechanic of like, hey, Azerite power is now 10x until level 400 Azerite power, right? So that people who are new to it, hey, boom, they just start farming it faster, right? And then they can play catch-up. Or you do something where you launch a new server where nobody has any of that shit, and you're just playing against those people, right? But of course, obviously, retail is a little more linked between servers. But this is a way to kind of be like, hey, if you're rolling on this server and you're rolling a fresh Fury Warrior, none of you motherfuckers going to have Badge of the Swarm Guard, right? Nobody's going to have Badge of the Swarm Guard here. Because going into TBC, being a Fury Warrior at the start of TBC, people were like, well, do you have Badge of the Swarm Guard? Oh, well, we don't really want to have to do AQ, so I'm sorry, right? It's like playing Fury Warrior at the beginning of TBC, even up until now, it's been like, Badge of the Swarm Guard is almost a necessity to be a really well, like, parsing overall Fury Warrior. And a lot of people who rolled Fury have felt punished for that. So I think that new servers is a good low effort way to combat small borrowed power stuff that exists in this game. Not necessarily for your character, but for items, right? So that's my feeling towards it. As I feel like this is only really a positive thing that Blizzard's done. And I think it's very low effort to do. And I think they can have contingencies in place to go from there. So I think that the fresh stuff doesn't appeal to me, but I think it does appeal to the people who enjoy leveling in a very fresh environment. And I think that those players should have this environment to do that. That's my TED Talk.
No, I agree. I think the main thing is the contingency part, right? Is like Blizzard does. I think Blizzard does need to have some sort of contingency in place for if the server populations get low or some sort of thing at the end, just in case these servers don't do too hot once the initial rush is kind of over there, because there are a lot of people who enjoy this, but it won't be attracting a lot of other people as well. It's like a very specific population that will enjoy this. Because I was thinking about it and I realized, oh wait, if you're a big time PvPer, you're not going to join the server, because if you PvP, you join the server with all the other big time PvPers so that you can, you can join the arena teams and such. Or even though the arena team system is going, but you still want to be able to play with those other players. So you join, like if you're on US, if you're a Horde PvPer, you join Felina. It's like that's your choice. If you go on any other server, your options for other people to PvP with are basically very, very tiny. And it's a big difference for the PvPers. So the PvPers aren't going to be rolling on these servers. And the people that are attached to their characters won't be probably rolling on these servers either, because obviously you have all that history built up and such. So it's a very niche but very interesting audience where I'm very curious to see how it does. Because I was telling chat last week that, man, if I didn't want a PvP, I'd be very tempted to like roll one character that just for like the initial rush, where is that really fun, that new environment where you get that fresh MMO feeling because everyone's on the same kind of starting ground. I think those times are fun. So I can understand the people that do want that fresh experience. But this kind of links into the stuff with Blizzard actually consolidating the realms. They announced that they're going to be retiring, consolidating some of the realms into the higher population realms. Which is only a good thing, right? Like, I think Zirene was the one that actually messaged me this when they first announced it, and it's the only thing I could think of when I see this, man, why didn't they kind of do this earlier? People have been complaining about this for a while now. But I feel like in a lot of ways, companies, in particular MMO companies, are really often very hesitant to do this stuff with consolidating realms, because it's almost like they're admitting that, oh yeah, the game isn't as popular and like we need to consolidate the servers a little bit. Because I feel like every single MMO launch outside of WoW has always had this issue where they launch it just doing super well. They're like, oh, we need 20 more servers. We need 20 more servers. And then they launch 20 more servers, and then 3 months later, 19 of those servers are dead. And they're like, oh, oops, what do you do now? And then they gotta consolidate all the servers and and such. And it's like one of those check marks that you check off when you're like, oh, okay, the MMO is dying because they started consolidating servers and such. But it does feel that, man, why didn't Blizzard do this earlier, right? It's
I think they're now just worried about like winter grasp and things like that, where they're like, we don't know the solution for it, so we're going to offer server transfers, we're consolidating these things, we're going to force you off them, we're going to make it so you can have your both factions on the same server type thing. So
oh yeah, that's
okay,
interesting. Okay. The interesting part is that they removed the PvE to PvP restrictions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually go from PvE to a PvP realm, which I think is really good because that's a big problem, is that there's a lot of people stuck in a PvE realm that would love to go to that really highly populated PvP realm, but they can't because they're flagged as PvE. And PvP doesn't really exist in a proper form anymore on a lot of these mega servers. A lot of these, there is the exception with like Grobulus and Firemore where there are other faction players, but a lot of the other big rounds like Whitemane, like Felina, like Benediction are basically one faction servers. So I don't know what PvP you're going to get on those servers, but it's usually not that much. I was telling my chat the other day that my PvP experience on when I'm playing on my Whitemane character was doing the dailies on the Owl, and one guy had a opposite faction alt priest that he would use to mind control people, and then use his other characters on the same faction to then kill you. So he would mind control you with his alliance priest and then kill you with all his horde tunes, and that was PvP. That was the only PvP I've experienced on Whitemane for like the last I don't know how long. So yeah, PvP is not really a thing in these one faction servers anymore. So it's about time that they did something about these leftover servers.
Yeah,
but
I completely agree. I definitely think there's something they need to do about it. And I think this is the right choice for the most part. So
yeah, it feels like they're also trying to save the people that kind of stuck there and going into Wrath, trying to fix up some of the potential issues that could be having with just having these random low population realms going into Wrath and such. To stop the bleeding a little bit. It can only help, right? It can only help to consolidate and help lose less people going into to Wrath, because they'll feel they can actually play the game. Zirene, do you know what time it is?
Oh, what time is it?
Gentlemen, all men strive for gold in their life, right? Gold medals, gold watches, gold everything. However, there is a certain type of man who goes the extra mile. He walks with the confidence of an eagle and giggles in the face of danger. He's a big, hairless, winning machine, and when he unzips his pants, he sees platinum. That's right, Manscaped would like to introduce you to their best and biggest ultimate hygiene bundle yet, the Platinum Package 4.0 by Manscaped. They are the leader in below-the-waist grooming. Now trust them with the whole shebang. So join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the coupon code PREPARED. So Manscaped's brand new Platinum Package 4.0 is the biggest bundle they've ever offered, giving you a bulk discount on Manscaped's top products. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. They designed this package to allow you to fully align your entire hygiene routine with elite products. Inside this Platinum package, you'll find your Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Ultimate Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, Ultra Premium deodorant, Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball deodorant, Crop Revival Ball Spray toner, Anti-Chafing boxes, and the Shed travel bag to hold your goods while traveling. So the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer features proprietary skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both of these are waterproof so you can shave with less mess. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. We have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. So don't forget to apply the aluminum-free Ultra Premium deodorant for the cologne quality scent on the go. The Platinum 4 Package 4.0 covers all the bases from head to toe, the best bang for your shebang. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code prepared at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use coupon code prepared. It's time you enjoyed the finer things in life and get yourself a platinum package for your platinum package. Thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring the podcast. Zirene, I am curious, have you got the chance to use your Manscaped product yet?
Yes, I actually have.
Oh, okay. Do tell us about your shaving experience.
Well, my girlfriend gives her review here. Ever since Zirene started using Manscaped, it prepared me for a glaive drop on her Giga Chad Warrior. That is true. Ever since I started using Manscaped, she did actually get an offhand glaive from one of my runs. So, yeah, there's
maybe that's the problem. My guild has not seen a glaive yet. Maybe it's because only I am using Manscaped products.
The rest of my guild using Manscaped. That's how it works, right?
Okay.
So no, so I ended up using it, and like this is maybe a little TMI, I don't know, but like, you guys ever shave your balls? Hopefully you have. And when I'm using like a new product, I'm always a little extra careful, or when you're shaving your balls in general, I'm a little extra careful. So I was using the lawnmower, and I noticed two things. One, it has a light on it, so it's actually really nice in that regard. I never had a razor with a light on it. I don't know why, but it was nice to kind of like just kind of highlight where you're going. And for me, I realized that I was being too careful, and I was like, oh, you can really get in there. And like, yeah. So I was like, oh, you can actually get in there. This thing's not going to like fuck you up or anything like that. Cause I've had some accidents in the past before with different razors. So, no nicks or anything like that, this time. So it was actually really, it was really pleasant for lack of a better word here. But yeah, no, it was actually very nice. I was surprised because I'm always really skeptical about these things. I didn't think it was going to be a product that I would want to like use or invest in or anything like that. But like, all ads aside, it is actually very good. Yeah. I would not use my razor that I use on my face on down there anymore or anything like that. So
yeah, I feel like that seems to be the general trend I'm seeing with a lot of people that try Manscaped, including myself, is that at first they didn't think, oh, is this really a product I need? And then you get it and you're like, oh, this is really nice. Oh, I don't have to worry about cutting myself as much because it's got all this, it's got like the edge guard thing and the ceramic blades, and it's so much, it's not like you can't cut yourself, but it's a lot harder to mess up.
It's a lot harder for sure.
It's so much
like
harder.
Somebody saying like, yeah, the skin would like pop up and get to touch the blades. Unlucky. Yeah, I had stuff like that too. I'm always like very careful because I think like first few times or even later, if I'm ever just like, oh, I'm in a rush or something like that, I'm 100%. I'm gonna maul myself up. It's gonna fucking suck. So no, it's a
rush.
It's a lot harder to do with. So
what situations are you in a rush to shave your balls?
Hey, look, Jerome's in the chat. No.
Hi, Jerome.
Oh my god.
All right.
Oh my god.
But yeah, good product, guys. Good product. I do like it.
It is actually good. It is actually good.
Yeah. Anyway, that aside, Blizzard's top 5 changes / decisions in Classic WoW. So
this was very hard.
This was very hard. This was very hard.
I'm still not happy with my list because a lot of these are just small changes that I was like, that's a good change. Yeah, that was a good change. That's a good change. But there's a lot of honorable mentions, like, you know, like Black Lotus like changes and stuff like that. Even just small things like making world buffs work with ranged attack power, so hunters weren't complete dog. You know, things like that. Oh, getting bag slots for linking your account. That was I was like,
I didn't even think about that.
I was like, I do like my bag slots. It's like one of the best quality of life changes, just 4 extra bag slots for linking your account to an authenticator. I was like, yeah, that's a really good change. And then I sat there and I'm like, Blizzard hasn't really done like really great changes, you know? Okay, the bag slots are busy.
You convinced me. Number 1, bag slots. The bag slots for linking your account. Man. Number 1 change. But yeah, so I had the same problems with coming up with the list.
Actually, I think somebody else, because I was doing research, somebody else put it as a positive change where they were like, the software that lets you multi-box, getting rid of like that stuff. And I was like, no, I missed Jerome. I missed the who was the guy who would run around on Horde side on Fairlina who had like 60 accounts. I don't remember who it was, but I remember when we were farming in the hives, this guy would run around and everybody in the like a Discord was pinging each other and being like, look out for this guy, he's coming. Oh my god. And he would just try to roll through and just like blast people.
Okay, so to give the context first, when me and Zirene do a top 5, we don't put any context, or rather we purposely don't say how the list has to be built, and we don't share the list so that we can see how each person interprets the topic of the top 5 list. Personally, for me, I did the viewpoint of what helped WoW Classic as a game as a whole, like what I think was like a big improvement, and I tried to not include things like Blizzard fixing their own mistakes. Zirene did message me because I think we were both having similar issues, thinking, man, like, well, can we include the stuff that they broke and then fix later?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so just to give like some examples, I guess, of like what I did at least is that I kind of went the EverQuest route when I thought about it. As people know, I played a lot of EverQuest back in the day. So I kind of looked at it as things that they did that improved the game as a whole that were kind of necessary to me enjoying the game, right? So for example, I'm showing people on the screen now the EverQuest, the original interface. This is literally how MMOs used to be played. And they got rid of this when they relaunched EverQuest Classic because they realized, like, well, people don't like only being able to use like a small fraction of the screen and having the rest of the screen have your like interface blocking everything. So they actually changed that from the old EverQuest days. And heads up, by the way, when I played EverQuest, I may have not known that you could actually shift to third person. So
first person all day?
I was literally someone who ran around in first person for God knows how long, because I didn't know that was a thing, okay? We weren't experienced MMO players back then, so I didn't know there was a thing that you could play in third person. I thought this is how everyone played MMOs. But yeah, so to give the EverQuest example, they updated the interface options when they relaunched EverQuest Classic Progression Realms. They removed the concept of a corpse run. So in EverQuest, if you died and you didn't go get to your corpse, you lost all your items and everything on you when you died, which is obviously not very good, not very friendly for the game.
I was saying, because they were like playing like retail and then they were playing classic, and I was like retail doesn't really, like, when you wipe on a boss, it doesn't have the corpse run, right? Like you can keep throwing yourself at the boss over and over again. Yeah. And I was like, but there's something about corpse running for me that I like, and I don't know what part of it I like. So it was like, I don't actually like long corpse runs or anything like that. Like Somewhat Plateau is a good example of like a short corpse run where you get back in the instance and you teleport, right? Like it's probably one of the best examples of that in TBC, where they were feeling like SSC is a fucking stupid corpse run. Like Tempest Keep doesn't even have a corpse run. You just end up fucking back at the graveyard. And I was like, there's something about corpse runs that I like. And I think it's just the kind of the time in between pulls that isn't too long, but it's long enough that you aren't like, everybody's not rebuffing going again, but you actually get to like discuss what happened, right? Like for me, I like that. But I was like, if there's a way for once you die to have the retail thing of like you respawn ready to pull the boss again and rebuff, but there's like a minute of time or something before it respawns where you can like discuss. I was like, there's got to be something there. Yeah, time to decompress after the wipe. There's something there where it's like, I don't like corpse running, but I like the byproduct of corpse running sometimes. And I was like, I wonder if there's a way to like capture that in games that is actually good for people, because people generally don't like corpse runs, right?
Yeah,
they don't like that.
I mean, it's really interesting.
But I don't like being able to throw myself at a boss over and over again. It feels like I'm just like going through the motions, cannon fodder, right? Like I don't like that. I don't know.
It's really interesting when you talk to people who played MMOs based on like the timing of when they play MMOs. Because like Jerome in the chat now, he's talking about all the stuff he misses in the old school MMOs, like the different difficulties. And it's the same for me. Like when I think back to like the hard stuff I'm talking about, them fixing when they relaunched EverQuest Classic, is like I have fond memories of dying in an underwater dungeon, literally having to go like the 15-20 minutes it took for me to run back first to the dungeon, whisper a necromancer, which is EverQuest's equivalent of a warlock, to summon my body, because he had to come all the way and summon my body because there was no way I was finding my body in this massive underwater dungeon. And that was, to me, that's actually, I actually look back fondly at like, oh man, that was a good time. That was a good time. And then
but it feels like shit when you're doing it. And that's
exactly right. Yeah. It's like, man, that was not fun when I was doing that, but it feels like a good time now. It feels like a good time now. So it's
back
like
in my day,
it's a very interesting balance.
Find our bodies.
Like another thing they removed from like EverQuest for one final example is like there used to be a class called a bard, and your spells were songs, and each button you press would play the song for X amount of time. And to be a top class bard, you had to basically be constantly like playing speed racing typing all the time. You were just like tapping buttons back and forth. And that was always the running joke that, man, if you play bard, you're gonna have like some messed up hands in the next few years because you never stop tapping buttons the entire time. But then they relaunched EverQuest and they're like, oh, you know what? We can make auto casting a thing. We can just make it so that if you press the song, it keeps playing that song automatically. You don't have to keep pressing that song again. And that took out a lot of the work, and you know, it made it a lot more playable for people that didn't enjoy breaking their hands trying to play a class in an MMO.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So this was kind of how I went towards the list. Is like looking for changes like this that really improve the game as a whole, or like the player experience. So okay. Yeah. Let's start with yours, Zirene. What was your 5? What was your 5?
So for me, in terms of like my approach to it, I just kind of went with things that I thought had the largest impact on if they hadn't have happened, what would the game be like, right? So I went with like, if they hadn't have happened, which one would have like the largest impact on how we play the game today? And some of these are like really small, some of these are really large, and some of these I think I probably didn't even like consider some of the changes. But my number 5 is removing the daily instance cap.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's not bad. Okay, daily instance cap removal.
Yeah, this was something that, you know, they didn't remove the hourly cap, but they removed the daily one. So you could do stockades and get boosted all the way up if you really wanted to. This actually helped boosting. I know it's not something that a lot of people really like, but it was one of the ways in which Blizzard actually helped boosters out, allowed people to grind gold. But I know that... and Jerome says it existed mostly for bots in the first place. Yes, and they removed it, so it did have a lot of like negative things where bots can now just farm instances forever, basically. Mara, Menester, Menester talking about Mara. I think Menester had multiple mages at one point to farm Mara because of lockouts. So yeah, the daily lockout, I think removing that impacted the game and the way we play it by boosting and how much people grind, and also bots and how much they get, how many resources they get per day. So I think this had a large impact on the way that we play the game. So yeah.
Interesting.
What is your number 5?
Not a big one you went with, right? It's like it almost feels like this is classified in the Blizzard kind of broke it by adding it in the first place and then removed it later category. Okay, interesting. My 5 was I honestly, guys, I had a hard time coming up with 5.
It's very hard.
So I put the realm consolidation as 5 because it was like it's a big positive. I think the reason it's 5 is just that it happened so late. Is that if you guys did this early, I'd probably have this higher up, but it's just that they chose to do this at the end of the phase where it's, you know, the game's kind of over already, which honestly I feel is like a theme of a lot of my ones, or a lot of Blizzard changes when I was thinking through the things that they did or didn't do, is that they do the right thing but so late that I have to take points off them for doing it at that timing window, because by the time they did it, it was like, man, you just did this a couple phases earlier.
You're talking about the current realm consolidation?
Yeah. This is how I
didn't even consider that a change because it hasn't even happened really
this
yet.
Is how late.
I'm like, what the fuck?
How deep I had to go into this.
I'm like, this is a Wrath of the Lich King change.
it was really hard to come up with 5, man. But yeah, so that was my 5, is that the upcoming realm consolidation. There was other stuff. I will say I did have some runner-ups that were also good changes, but I had to demote them. We'll talk about them later if we have time, but some other stuff I had to demote because, again, I feel like Blizzard does a lot of good things. They just do them at bad timing windows.
Yeah. Okay.
What was your 4, Zirene? What was your 4?
My 4 is changing honor gains.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I think this is something people asked for a long time. They finally gave it, and it does impact the way that a lot of people play the game. Adding the daily, like people are timing towers and shit now, right? and allows newer characters to catch up and kind of I think gear themselves out for PvP. It is still pretty overwhelming. I think things cost a little bit too much still. They really encourage you to buy previous season gear, and buying previous season gear just does not feel good at all. So I'm a little bit it's a pat on the back, but I'm just like, I'm not sure. This feels a little bit too late when they did it, and it also feels like the way that they've done it, it's just still not enough for people who are like actually trying to get into PvP for the first time. So I do think this changed the way a lot of people play the game. You can tell by how many people are timing towers and shit now for the daily, because it's worth like 900 honor. So yeah. I know, like, I think Chanimal literally like gets it on like 10 characters a day or some shit. Like, I every time I tune in, character like Chanimal's get it. Either he's in arena or he's getting towers, or he's getting towers on his alt tab. He always says that
he needs to stop doing it on his characters, but he doesn't stop.
No, he doesn't stop.
He doesn't stop. He constantly says like, "Oh man, why am I doing this on character number 526?" But he keeps doing it. He keeps doing it.
So that's my number 4 is the changing the honor gains.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. I actually had it kind of lumped in with PvP changes as one of my runner-ups, because it felt like, man, it's just like I said, it's just so late. If they just did this earlier, I would have given them more points for it. It's just that they did it at a late stage when it just didn't impact stuff as much for me. Even though I do love it, because man, being able to get 2,000-3,000 honor a day really easily is very game changing for actually gearing up for PvP.
For sure.
It makes it so much easier.
Especially your rat characters. Your rat characters feel a lot better now.
yeah, for sure. So my number 4 might be a little bit controversial.
Ooh, we love those. We love those.
So this is where I went to my number 4 thing that Blizzard did right, or that the best decisions, is no changes at the start of Classic. Now, I have to explain this because...
Pitchforks up.
Hold on, guys. I'm not on team no changes. But I feel like no changes at the start had to happen for us to understand that we need changes. So I feel like if they launched the game with like the changes in already, or like they started changing things from the start, everyone would still be complaining to this day that, oh man, if we went no changes, it'd be better. Like the Blizzard ruined too many things, or this and this happened. I feel like it needed to happen for that nostalgia kick at the start of Classic, because in a lot of ways, people did enjoy no changes for a short time before the nostalgia kick wore off. And then they're like, oh, wait, this sucks. Wait, this actually sucks. We need to change this. Yeah. But I feel like at the start, no changes was the right move. So the game did launch in a very close to no changes state. I will say, though, while I am on team no changes for at least the start of Classic, it should have been addressed and removed quicker. In that they need to get the ball rolling quicker. They need to realize, like, okay, no changes is not working. We need to move. We need to start like fixing all these things that are really breaking the game. Which I think, to their credit, I will say that at least they are kind of realizing that they can have both the no changes experience and the better experience later now as well. They've kind of done that a little bit with the raid bosses stuff, where in the previous phases of TBC, they did like, okay, this is like the no changes boss, and then this is the changes boss. We're gonna give you that later. So they at least like they're kind of learning that they can kind of try to satisfy both in a way. It's not always perfect, and there's a lot of mistakes here and there when they try to do it. But I feel like, yeah, at least that's a positive. So yeah, that's my number 4 is that no changes. It had to happen. They should have been faster to remove it. But I think if we didn't have no changes, people would still be complaining about wanting no changes to this day. So what is your number 3 then, Zirene?
My number 3 is arena point gains. So I think that the arena point gains recently has actually changed the way that I play the game just in general. Like, I'm actually doing rat 5s. More people are playing 5s now than before. Less people are playing even 2s. People are now just purely using that as a boosting thing. So I think that has actually changed pretty substantially. I did kind of want to move those 2 together and then do another one here, which would have been like shout out to no totem stomping macros. But this is an honorable mention. But Arena Point games I actually think changed because there's people now who my buddy Lumos literally has full arena gear already and he doesn't need any points anymore. And I'm like, wait, really? So like you have a stacked 5s, but it's weird because like the difference between the point ratings is very small now, right? Like having a 1500 versus having like an 1800 5s team isn't that big.
Yeah.
It's just the difference between 2s, 3s, and 5s.
In any bracket, I think beyond like 1600-ish, the point gains is so minimal that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's very, very small. So I was just like, yeah, it's encouraging people to play Arena for points and then disengage with it. So it gets more people involved with it, but it doesn't get them involved for a long time. And only people should climb if they're interested in titles. It's weird, right? Because now the people who are like pushing 2200 and stuff like that, but can't get Gladiator in like 3s, they don't really like want to play as much anymore unless they're really hard pushing Glad. So it does make people play the game in a different way now. But I've only seen really positive things about the arena changes, right? So I think that this was a very positive change. I think it was an incredibly positive change was the arena point change for this season. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, for me again, I had that as a runner up, but then I demoted it from my list because it was so late.
I understand that.
Yeah. So I mean, my number 3 was now we're getting into the levels where I'm not sure how I rank them. So this is number 3, but I'm not sure if this might have been lower, a little bit higher, but I had Chronoboons. Okay. My number 3 because honestly, it may be the best Blizzard change they've ever done, except that it was just so late. Like if they did it earlier, it may be literally rank 1 on my list if they did it earlier.
Wow.
Because I had so many people message me and say, man, if they had this at the start, I wouldn't have quit. I had so many people in my Discord feel like, man, if they had this, I would still be playing Classic. Because a lot of people had already quit and they were in the TBC waiting room at that point. And I had a lot of people message me, including I think Red Tusk, who makes the framework for the UI that I use, where he was like, yeah, man, I quit because I was so burnt out from doing the buff stuff. And they lost a lot of hardcore type level people during that time, like the type of people that they really want to keep as the core of their game. They lost so many people, but the Chronoboon was life-changing. Literally for that, what was it? Was it a month we had it? How long did we have the Chronoboon where it was actually like...
Oh, God, I don't even know, dude. I don't even know.
It was such a breath of fresh air. It brought so much life back into like the raiding scene, the feeling. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it literally addressed the most unfun aspect of the game. It was an actual Blizzard change. I think it was such a good change because it kept the essence of a lot of things that they didn't want to remove from Classic. Like you could still gank in PvP people if you wanted. It just kind of limited the damage you could do. You could still be annoying if you really wanted to by being strategic with where you set up your dispellers and your PvP gankers and such. It just didn't. The penalty wasn't as bad anymore. Now, if you died, you just lost 1 buff or something like that instead. Right?
Definitely changed the way I interacted with Classic for sure.
Yeah. And the fact that people love, as much as people want to hate on the world buff stuff, people love having world buffs. So it capped the problem of like, well, people love having world buffs. They just don't like the hard work of the world buffs at times or how annoying the world buffs are to get. So I think it was literally just a knock it out of the park move by Blizzard, the Chronoboons, and they literally just had to release it earlier and it would be rank 1 on my list. But yeah, so Zirene, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was removing batching.
Removing batching. Interesting. So you did go with the Blizzard broke stuff and then fixed it later.
Yep. Because I still think it's like the best way. One of the top 2 changes in how like I interact with the game or like we interact with the game is just the fact they removed batching. I think has to be addressed because it was such a good change, and it fundamentally changed the entire game for everybody. So it was the worst part of Classic by far, like Harming says. And I really do feel that batching was such a bad idea, and then they changed it, right? So I had to put it here. I really did. I feel like it would have been flamed to all shit if I didn't have batching on my list as well, which didn't really affect my decision to put it there or not. But it did make me think, like, how would I feel if I saw this list? I would have been like, what about batching, dude? Like, and then I went, oh, I'm not going to like talk about things that they broke and then fixed. Like, I still think it deserves to be there. So yeah, batching is my number 2. Way too impactful to not address, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, batching is it kind of goes back to my number 4, where it's like a thing where they literally broke the game on purpose to make it feel like no changes. But then they just didn't realize it quick enough and fix it. Is the problem? Is I think like if they just realize, oh wait guys, batching sucks. Let's get rid of this. Why are we doing this? It would have been a lot better if they just got rid of that in like phase 2 or something of Classic. But yeah, batching was definitely not fun. It was definitely not fun. Which, by the way, guys, if you ever want to know what it's like to play as someone who plays from the Korean server onto Felina, put some batching on your game. Then you get to experience the 200 ping playstyle. But yeah, my number 2, and this is might be another controversial one here. Okay, please, guys, listen before you start flaming me. I think the rank 14, the OG PvP system, was one of the best things they did for Classic. So this is I know, guys, I know this is controversial, but I actually think keeping the rank 14 grind, the OG PvP system, had to be put into Classic. Now I know it's
Shyamalan. Where's your fucking twist? What are we getting at here?
So the PvP system sucks. It's a horrible system. It's a relic of an ancient era when we didn't know how to build systems properly and such. But I feel like if you take it out of Classic, like let's say they revamped the rank 14 grind, they changed it, they made it easier, they nerfed it and just revamped it to make it a more modern PvP system, I don't think Classic would be Classic. I think it will fundamentally change how people looked at WoW Classic. Because as dumb as a system as it was, and it is dumb, it is a stupid, very bad system, horrible system. A lot of people wanted to really live that stupidity. There's a lot of people that wanted to experience that. There's something wrong with WoW players, a lot of WoW Classic players, but there's a lot of us that actually wanted to experience, oh, remember how bad that was? And we didn't really fully get to experience it because a lot of us were very young at the time. We had parents that grounded us if we tried to grind too much honor and such. So a lot of people got to really experience the pure stupidity of the rank 14 grind system this time around. Myself included, because I literally made the mistake of getting to rank 9 and then barely getting into rank 9 and thinking, well, if I just get bracket 1 this week, I can just go to rank 10 and I'm done, because I was only going up to rank 10. And I made that mistake, and then after a week of sleeping for like 2-3 hours a day, literally on white main, I literally had to hit like basically 1 million honor on Horde side gained, which is basically you queue for AV anytime you can, pray that you win because there's a lot of RNG there in like how fast you win and if you win, and then kill people in between the queues as well, and then you could sleep at max 4 hours, probably 3 hours a night, sometimes 2 hours if you fell behind and you had bad RNG in the AV games. And that was literally the only way to attain like 1 million plus honor. Because I don't know, white main, by the way, the stupidest, we literally the dumbest people in charge of the bracketing system, because we didn't have a bracket system until like late, until people were already finishing their rank 14 grind. So there was no communication. And then I think our brackets got set at 1.2 million honor, which was a very stupid cap to set because like everyone couldn't reach it anyway. So there was no point in putting the cap there. So yeah, I lived the rank 14 system for a week. I know how stupid it is. It was really bad. It was really dumb, but I think it's something that had to be experienced. Like I feel like if you take it out, classic just isn't classic. It's just like I remember like a good example was Mad Season. He literally put on his YouTube like, "Hey guys, I'm taking a break because I'm going to do rank 14." And everyone in the comments was like, "Yeah, you go, man." They were like basically clapping and cheering him on in the comments. It's like this group nostalgic experience to go experience the rank 14 system, or to actually partake in the absurdity of a system that that works the way the rank 14 grind works and the OG PvP system works. Now, would I keep it for a second iteration of Classic? No, and I mean they didn't in Season of Mastery. They sped it up massively and such. But you can see it took away from a lot of that in a lot of ways. It completely changed the game when everyone had access to like rank 14 weapons and such super early on. So yeah, that is my number 2. That was my number 2. And any thoughts on that, Zirene?
So it's a positive because it was like the big nostalgia kick of how bad it was.
Yeah, well, I think I put it as a positive for Blizzard because like I know this list is top 5 changes / decisions, but I think there was a lot of push at one point to change the rank 14 system, to not have it in that iteration, because everyone knows how stupid it is going into it. But I think keeping it there was a correct decision from Blizzard. I think if they changed it, it wouldn't have been classic. It's just like it would change I feel it would fundamentally change how classic felt completely if they got rid of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it would have definitely changed the way in which people interacted with the game for sure. So
yeah.
Yeah, I guess like you're right to some degree, but I still
it is a very stupid system. I understand.
I still disagree.
It's a very bad system.
You see how ridiculous this looks.
I know. But I feel like everyone that partook in it, like if I'll go to like Savix and Guzu, who were among the first people, and Felina, for example, to hit that rank 14 grind and hit rank 14. And I it was almost part of my daily routine because I wasn't a streamer back then. I'll tune in around midday for what would be about midday for Savix and Guzu. And I go in and like, oh, it's time for me to hop on and watch Savix fall asleep at his computer for a little bit, because it's always like that after lunchtime snoozing era where everyone would like start falling asleep, and you literally start seeing the rank 14 grinders kind of like nod off in the chair and such. But I think even if you ask them now, and they regret doing that grind, but they look back on that with like fond memories and nostalgia. So I think for the people that participated in that, they actually look back and think, yeah, that was a cool thing, a really dumb thing I did, but kind of fun and cool in a very life shortening way.
In a very life shortening way. Yeah. I don't think that's like healthy at all. Like I was just
3 months.
Damn. Like they allowed the people to like literally do harm to themselves. I was like, holy shit. I don't, obviously definitely going to disagree, but that's the point of these lists. We're not supposed to completely agree with each other. Yeah. Otherwise we just have the same list. So
yeah. Definitely unhealthy. I honestly don't know how those guys did it for more than like a short period, because I did it for a week, and after that I was like, I'm out. I'm out. Peace, guys. Peace. I'm out. I did my 1 week.
Either.
No way.
Really zero clue.
Yeah. But. All right. So what was your number 1? What was your big number 1?
Okay, so my number 1 was adding Seal of Blood to Alliance Paladins. Because if you stop and think about it,
think about that one.
If you stop and think about it, Ret Paladins would be absolute fucking shit on Alliance side without it. You'd be twisting righteousness, if even that. Like everybody who wanted to play Ret Paladin would absolutely just go Blood Elf because of Seal of Blood. Like it's not even close in my mind of just how impactful this change was for the game and even for rating. So yeah, that's it. Also, in my opinion, made it so that I've always been like, dude, Horde ever since Blood Elves came into the game and were 1, attractive, and 2, had a good racial, and then 3, had an incredible fucking ability in Seal of Blood, it just caused a faction balance slowly, like over time. I know Wrath of the Lich King, like humans have insane racial and shit like that, and that's obviously a topic of discussion. But I think that this was like the beginning of the end for the Alliance and how everything shifted Horde way. And I think that this is one of the changes that they could have done and did do, because obviously you don't want to like nerf Blood Elf racial. You don't want to like change the way they look or anything like that. So adding the seal to both sides, I think, was the correct change. 100%. I do think that for a lot of Paladin players, especially Ret Paladin players, really saved their character and allowed them to stay on the faction that they wanted to. So
I can see that. Yeah, this is a very, very impactful change for those guys. I agree. I didn't even think about that one.
I'm interested in seeing like somebody do a test where they just twist righteousness instead of blood and see how big the damage difference is. Like if they actually just did it, it would just seem, I don't know. In my opinion, it would be absolutely ridiculous in terms of the damage difference. It'd be insane.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about the things. I mean, that's why I was interested to hear your list, because I was going to think like, man, there must be some stuff I'm missing when I was trying to think of stuff. That's actually a good one. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. So my number one. My number one's Zirene. And this again is a little bit controversial one. I don't think as controversial as my number two, but my number one was layering and sharding.
Sharding?
Yeah, the I feel like it had to be done. Like all the stuff they did with layering and such. I feel like no, not sharding, chat. Sharding.
Blizzard doing a lot of sharding.
But I feel like it had to be done. Like I know a lot of people don't like it. I feel like Snow woke up today and chose violence with all these takes. But I feel like, could you imagine the game if they didn't have at least layering and such?
Oh, it'd be awful.
Like, you could not play the game. As much as people hate it, and as much as people want to complain about layering and such, like the game would literally break. That is the thing. If you took this out of the game, the game would literally break. The queues would be, God knows how insane, like all of this would be. You could not. I would be scared to see what our queues would be at this point in time if like all of that was gone now. That they've gotten a lot better with it as well, right? Like right now, these days, we only have like 2 layers or something like that most of the times.
Something like that.
Something like 2 layers, and they're able to do that with these mega servers with 20 to 30,000 people on them. So they've gotten a lot better, because I remember when they first had layering, it was, God, how many layers? Sometimes like the servers you see like 3, 4, 5 layers at times pop up. In particular for the launch of TBC. So one of the examples I'd give for like why you had to do it is they got better with it as they went. So for the launch of TBC, both me and Zirene were thinking, man, is the game gonna break? Because we remembered what the launch of Classic was like and how messed up stuff got. But it was actually a really smooth launch. For all things that could have gone wrong, the TBC launch was actually pretty smooth. Like as far as there was some hiccups along the way, but for the most part, it wasn't what a lot of people expected in that. A lot of people were expecting absurd queues, like a lot of lag. We saw Asmongold on the PTR just completely have the servers crashing and such, and people couldn't move. But with the layering and all of that, it actually worked really well. The launch was pretty smooth. They scaled it back when they needed to scale it back. So as much as people hate that it does take away some community and that people can be standing in the same spot and not see each other and your friends, I think it's, what else are you going to do? They got to do something to keep the service functioning. You literally, the game couldn't survive without it. So that's why I put it as my number one.
Yeah, no, you're right. I definitely agree with that. I think the 2 lists we have here, there's something it's probably a little more accurate in the middle, because it's very hard to think of all these things. Yeah. Even given like a week plus, I'm just like, I don't even know what's a good change at this point.
It was way easier to think of bad things, that's for sure.
It was way easier to think of bad things. I think our bad list had a lot more in common with each other than this, because there were some definitely like egregious ones that stuck out. But maybe that's just a point too, where like it definitely feels worse. What's it called? It's called loss aversion. It feels worse to like lose $100 than to gain $100. So it feels worse when you have something taken away than when you gain something. So a lot of times it's very hard to appreciate these small things that happen. Like I even mentioned like 4 extra bag slots, and people in the chat are just going crazy. They're like, my bag slots, like my bags. So it is very hard sometimes to appreciate the good things that happen or the good things that the company does do. A lot of them end up being watered down because people think it's too late and they already suffer from the issue for so long. So yeah, I definitely I definitely like what we've come up with here. I think it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. Like we said earlier, like man, the timing. If they did the PvP changes earlier, that would have been that would have definitely bumped it up in my book. It would definitely made the list pretty high because the PvP changes are all good, right? Like I can't think of anything bad with these PvP changes. They're all just good things for the game as far as I see, right? Like improving arena points gains, of honor gains. I actually had like the tier token turn-ins there as well.
Oh,
like the just the general PvP bump. Was that phase 2? They did like those initial PvP changes. I think it was phase 2 maybe because it was like season 2-ish. I think they started that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure.
Or was it season
maybe
2? Something like
that. I couldn't tell you, so I'm not very helpful here.
But yeah, it was just man, all those PvP changes really great. Just a little bit late, but still good. Still good. Just unfortunate that it came at that specific timing. But yeah, like there's some that I thought of later as well. Like GBB said in the chat, he's talking about the pre-nerf and post-nerf bosses. I actually do think that was a very good compromise or way to do things, is to give people like the pre-nerf and then the post-nerf later. And that was something they learned, right? Because they learned that if you just suddenly the day before announce that the bosses are all nerfed, people do not like that.
And I also think they it's kind of prepping them for Wrath of Lich King, because they've mentioned not wanting you to do 4 modes of the same instance, right? It'll burn people out super hard doing like 4 Trials of the Grand Crusader, 25-man, 10-man, 25 heroic, 10-man heroic, right? So they even mentioned potential doing hard mode activations, right? So when that happens, it'll be like you do 1 25-man, 1 10-man, and then you choose whether it's hard mode or not, right? So I think having this is you have maximum 2 lockouts of TOGC. Yeah. Basically, I think this is also a way of them being like, okay, people don't like not being able to clear the content, right? But people also don't like having it nerfed for so long. So it's a way to kind of give people access to both things. So it's a way for people to clear 25-man as a guild and feel like that's like their guild raid, and then have the guilds who are like more tryhard do like heroic and stuff, right? So I do think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it does seem that
you have to activate hard modes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it does seem that they're learning at least a little bit here as they go. They've definitely progressed, at least on that front, with like the buses and stuff, and at least understanding that they need to make certain changes for to protect the players really from themselves. From themselves,
yeah. It's really interesting. Themselves. We're all running around in diapers with forks, and they're just like, not the light socket, and we're like, we're like, what does this do? World buffs.
I would have really liked to have seen them do like easier, like something like along the Chinese server realm of like the world buffs that they had. That would have been really interesting to see in Classic, actually. To see them do like an hourly buff drop or something like that.
Yeah.
Or some sort of easier buff allocation.
They didn't know the solution. They just let us keep putting the fork in the socket. They were like Chronoboons. eventually.
Yeah, I like to think there's some developer out there with Tetsu's stream open, watching him get ganked by 10 rogues every progress raid.
my buddy. Okay, so this is like, my buddy is like really into Death Knights, and he is so into his Death Knight that he doesn't know if it works or not, but he has like Rend Head and like every world buff ready to drop on one of his characters, so he can have a Chronoboon Death Knight that has every world buff. Because Death Knights get to like 58, right?
Yeah.
So you technically can Chronoboon your Death Knight's world buffs. And I'm just like, fuck. Like, it's... But Chronoboons work? Do they even work anymore? Yeah, they do. They do, right? Are they just like broken gray items? They're broken gray items in in what is it, the legacy servers or whatever, right? They became like broken gray items at some point or some shit.
Yeah, I guess they still 63. Work.
Yeah, but, like I'm like, yeah.
Can you can still buy them, right? Can you? I've honestly never even looked.
Right now, Chronoboon. Yeah, they still work. Yeah, they still work. So you could have like a perma death knight Chronoboon, and it would be rare because you would be somebody. It's almost like having like Tabard the Protector on like a blood elf right now. Like I have it on one of mine. It's like, oh, you got to like 70 in pre-patch. This is like, oh, you're gonna have all the Chronoboon buffs on a DK. I'm like, oh my god, how rare is that gonna be? Because pre-patch is going to be a really interesting time.
Oh yeah,
very interesting time.
Super interesting to see what happens with that.
Final thing that I want to mention, unless there's something else you want to mention.
No, I'm good. Yeah, what do we got?
All right, for the Blizzard employee who like watches our podcast, any of you, this is for you. I'm talking directly to you. Take down the fucking PTR. Why is it back up? Why is the PTR
Wait, it's back up? I didn't even know
it's back up. People are speed running on PTR again now. Like it's back up. You guys said PTR is not to test your speed run. I literally go in there and I'm like, oh, Newman's on here. I'm like, dude, these are, and they're pre nerf HP values. These aren't even like, you know, the 5K, the 5 million HP, like Brutalis or things like that. This is like the pre nerf. I'm sitting there going, people are actually just practicing again. I'm like, god damn it, dude! Like, what the fuck? So yeah. I mean, I guess it allows people to compete with noobs again because noobs, you know, they run 5 characters
on both factions.
And so they just actually just pump out runs and get the best. But now people are actually using PTR again to speed run. Like you go on there and you /who certain people, you're like, oh, they're speed running, they're practicing. So yeah, now once again, speed running is becoming who can PTR the most again, and it's like not about characters, repetition, or live effort, which is a little sad. But
so what you're saying, Zirene, is you want the rank 14 OG system, but for speedrunning, so that all the speedrunning guilds can compete to see who can be more unhealthy.
And that's what's happening now.
Look back fondly later.
I'm saying I don't want that. That's not what I want. I want the opposite of that. Give me the other shit. China servers have a free test realm. That's actually not true and got debunked. Talked with a member of Noobs. They don't have that. In fact, the reason that Noobs does so well is because they have a policy where you have to play, I think it's 5 characters, and you have to have 2 of the same class, and it's on both factions. So they have a lot of runs, and then they take their logs after, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks, and then they take the top performing people and then they speed run for the next 10 weeks of a phase. Jeez. So they had it broken down where it's like first 5 weeks are like performance based, like everybody's competing, and then next 10 are like these are the rostered people, these are the people who are doing the speed runs, and then you use their cloned characters for your secondary runs. But you have to have like the same character on Alliance and Horde. Basically, it's super competitive. It's like really what is it? Just they have like really high standards, incredibly high standards. And 2 of your characters are slotted in like speed runs or like split runs, and then like your other 3 characters you have to go to GDKPs for and get gear there. So that's why like some of their shamans have skull and shit. So
do all? I would assume all their rogues and warriors.
They had free test realms, but like nobody could really prove it to me. The only thing that I was able to find, like I actually believed it at first as well. Is I believed it and thought like, hey, you know, they're too good. It seems like that's the issue is that they have this. Somebody showed me something that showed that back in the day they had a tournament on PTR, but that was in Nax days. So they had like it was like a poster for like a Nax run with like noobs and all these others. And that was the only thing that there really was any evidence that there was ever a PTR even up. But that was just for them on a tournurnament realm. Right.
I feel they just outgear everyone, isn't that?
Well, now they do, yeah.
They're just like hardcore outgear everyone right now. Because I have heard about stories of like the China server even having the ability to, you can pay for a pass run, where you literally you get all the gear, and then the guild will take you and support you fully to get the pass of your dreams, so that you can be world #1 DPS basically.
Dude, it's fucking so funny. In Overclock, there's this legendary person named Stormy Eyes that everybody talks about. This person is like, apparently she is just like a bankroll mommy. And she just will buy people who are good, like things in GDKPs if they perform well. And my friend was in one of them, and he plays Boomkin. His name is Chubaraka. He's in the chat. And he was like, first thing that Stormy Eyes whispers me is, your only job as a Boomkin is to make sure I have the aura at all times. And it's like, you don't disrespect mommy. You go. And he was like, at one point, he was on the wrong side of Muru, and he just like, he was like, oh shit. And the darkness came up, and he's just like, this fat chicken being like, not even doing damage, just run to the other side, make sure Stormy Eyes has the fucking aura. Because the Boomkin aura is actually really small range. The Boomkin aura is a super small range. I didn't realize it. It's like, what, 30 yards? It's something like that. It's pretty short. It's 30 yards. And then leader of the pack is 45 or 50 or something like that. I don't know why. For the hunters, I understand, but good Lord. Yeah, it was so funny. But yeah, there's some people out there who definitely, like you said, can outgear people. I think Stormy Eyes has 6 Ashes of Alar now, just as an example of just how much she's run GDKPs and stuff. So yeah,
it sounds like the Chanimal experience with his Ashes of Allah and his character as well.
Yeah, basically. But God, so some people will definitely outgear and parse well, but I don't think that's always the case. Sometimes having multiple characters and repetitions on them does help you out a ton. And in fact, I find that more helpful as somebody who has like 4 prop paladins, being able to, and I see the performance between people who have a lot of characters of the same class and people who don't. You can definitely tell the min-max differences between it. And that's why PTR is so impactful as well. So yeah, definitely please. The PTR is, in my opinion, just going to harm things and change what it means to be a top raider. But at the same time, if that's what they're pushing again, I guess that's what they're going to do. And that's something that I guess has existed and will probably continue to exist in Wrath of the Lich King.
Do you think they're bringing something out to bring it back up? What is your purpose for suddenly bringing it back up?
I don't know, but it's been up for a while now. So it's been up for at least over a week.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea they even brought it back up. Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that's all I got for this week. You got anything else, Zirene?
No, that's it from me, man.
All right, sweet. Well, this was Prepared, episode 44. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Maybe we'll get a guest on for next episode. Probably next episode will have to be in like a week and a half or something like that. Because we got to fit in one more for the month for our sponsorship. So I don't think we can wait 2 full weeks. It's got to be like a week and a half or something.
We could do another next week or something.
I thought maybe we might get in maybe Josh Cobat or something back in. And then do kind of like a recap episode or something to see like what the experiences is for what they thought going into TBC and kind of like looking back and thinking like how was the TBC experience for them.
Okay.
I think that might be interesting maybe. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next episode. And yeah, stay safe.
Yep. See ya.